Hello and welcome to Crucible of Words for more dedicated legacy action. Today, at the request of a donor, we are playing a spicy Monoblack Depths list. This is a list that won a League 5-0 and it was piloted by DarkDepthsAniki, who was a fellow Marit Lage enthusiast, and we played some of their decks on the channel in the past. The donor really wanted to see it, so here we are. We have Dark Depths, we have Thespian Stage, we have Hexmage. We assemble Dark Depths with either of these two cards, we get a 2020 indestructible flyer. That is the way we win the game. We have Pithing Needle so we don't get wastelanded out. Not this world, so they can't source to Plowshare our Marit Lage token. We have a bunch of disruptions, so Thoughtseizes, Duresses, and him to Tourach, so really going deep on that front. We have a little bit of interaction in the form of removal, and we got one Fell the Profane and a Feed the Swarm, and then we get to the more spicy stuff. How are we trying to put these pieces together? We have Night's Whisper to dig us a little bit. We have Profane Tutor to just demonic tutor up whichever part we need. This is just demonic tutor with suspend. And then we have an oldie but a goodie, Plunge into Darkness. For the purposes of our deck, this basically just has one mode, which is pay any amount of life, look at that many cards from the top of your library, put one in your hand, and exile the rest. Now you might be saying, why run this over Spoils of the Vault? So Spoils of the Vault, you name a card, you flip cards until you find it, you lose life for each card you flip. And that can just kill you. Because we're going to be paying quite a lot of life with Thoughtseizes, possibly with Fell the Profane if this is a land, Feed the Swarm, Night's Whisper, it's going to be better for us to pay a specific amount of mana. A specific amount of life. On top of that though, we also have the fact that if we've got the Dark Depths and we're looking for Thespian Stage or Hexmage, if we play Spoils of the Vault, we kind of just have to guess one of these and name it. Whereas with Plunge into Darkness, we can say, okay, I'm going to pay 10 life, and then we should find either of these in those cards. So it ends up being slightly better on that front. So I think there is some sense to that. We've got a few little spicy lands here. Castle Locthwain, if we need to draw some more cards again, take more life, making Plunge into Darkness a bit more awkward. But again, we choose the amount of life we pay, so it's still fine. A Rogue's Passage, target creature can't be blocked this turn for 4 mana, so it's quite expensive to get that going. We have Shizo, which gives a legendary creature fear. Technically, you can give your opponent's creature fear, as long as it's legendary. Not sure why you'd want to do that, unless there's some very, very bizarre Provoke shenanigans, although we haven't seen Provoke since Onslaught, I think, so unlikely. And we have a Takenuma, which is a card that, in my opinion, has continued to underwhelm me. But yeah, we'll see how it goes today. And obviously, Urborg really ties the room together, makes our colourless lands tap for black, makes our Dark Depth tap for anything, so we can do the classic turn 1, Thoughtseize, turn 2, Hexmage play. Sideboard-wise, we've got some graveyard hate in Leylines. We've got some Dismembers to remove, like Maids of the Moon type stuff. We have a couple of Rite of Consumption. So if we're worried about white removal on our Marit Lage, what we can do is just make it in our turn, and we have priority first when it comes in, so we get to Rite of Consumption it straight away and just dome our opponent for 20. So it's not great against the counterspell plus white removal decks, but it is good against things like Green-White Depths and the Death and Taxes, that sort of jam, Red-White Energy. Feed the Swarm, this is our way of blowing up enchantments like Blood Moon. We kind of just got to lean into that, really. A couple of Dampening Sphere for some of the combo matchups, and a couple of Karn Sylex, which we can use to blow various bits and pieces up. And there's probably going to be some more interesting interactions that come up in terms of the static ability of players can't pay life to cast spells or activate abilities that aren't mana abilities. So that does shut off fetch lands. We're not boarding it in for that, but it will probably come up when we do board it up. There's a bunch of things this will do. Alright, that is the deck list. I'm excited to give it a whirl. So like, subscribe, and sit back for some wonderful Monoblack Depths action. For the best Eternal experience this summer, check out Eternal Mania in Hasselt, Belgium from August 8th to 10th. Aside from hosting the European Legacy Masters, they have a whole host of other tournaments from team trios to old school and pre-modern. I will be there playing Legacy and hanging out as a special guest. This will also be the first event that I'll be giving out my own special Marit Lage tokens, so why not come down to enjoy an awesome weekend ran by one of the best TOs in Europe. Well, we have a plan. It involves paying a lot of life, but it is a plan. I will keep this, and we'll lead off on the Urborg so that we can Thoughtseize and also give ourselves a chance to draw something that can win on turn 2, like a Dark Depths. Alternatively, if we have a Dark Ritual, we might be able to win as well. Rogue's Passage, not the one we're after immediately now. So let's have a look. What have you got, opponent? Not a fan of this Wasteland. Not a fan of the Entomb plan. Not a fan of the Thoughtseize. I guess the thing with Entomb is they don't immediately have a way of reanimating anything. So maybe that's not an issue. Maybe we take the Thoughtseize here. Alright, I don't feel great about our position. We can always just hammer our opponent's hand with a Hymn to Tourach. Alright, a Wasteland. Please don't Wasteland me, opponent. So they might be expecting like Turbo Depths style stuff, especially if they recognise my username. So they might go for just holding this up to interact with like the Dark Depths itself. Right, there is an Attractor in the graveyard. Oh, and they did just draw the Reanimate. Cool. Cool, cool, cool. Okay. Is it worth playing this game out? So they're going to have an answer to our guy. Probably. They're going to have a Force of Will to protect it. They're going to have some more hand disruption if they want it. So we have Brazen Borrower, Thoughtseize, Force of Will, Underground Sea. I guess we still keep going. So what did they not take? They didn't take the Entomb. Didn't take the Brainstorm or the Tamiyo. And you get one Force of Will. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, I think we got the right 7 there. Okay. This is going to be a difficult game to win. It probably starts with us Hymn to Touraching our opponent. We also have to beat the Wasteland as well. We could just scoop here, but I will see if the next card we draw is useful. So we got an Island and a Thoughtseize, so not actually anything useful out of our opponent's hand. Alright, I'm just going to pack it up. They're also gaining loads of life. I just don't think it's worth us continuing. We could have taken the Entomb on 1, but they didn't have the immediate answer, the immediate Reanimate. But, you know, sometimes it happens and it beats us. I think the blue-black Reanimator deck is very good. So what do we like here? Not really any of this stuff, to be honest. I like the Leylines. I don't particularly want this Feed the Swarm. I don't think we require that one. The land that gives our creatures fear. Probably not doing anything here. Can we afford to board out a land? Probably. I think it's alright to board out 1. We've got 2 more to find here. They're not going to be interacting with our creature too much. We can maybe go down on Not of This World. Anything else you want to try and trim here? All the hand disruption seems essential. Maybe we're looking at like a Night's Whisper. It is awkward because we need ways to get into our deck. But if we can shut off their graveyard, that might buy us more draw steps anyway. Don't Wasteland me, I guess. Oh dear. Can we keep this? With the Castle Locthwain, like it just auto scoops to Wasteland, which is one of the things our opponent's going to be searching for. I think we have to mulligan. Alright. Now this is much more like it. We are still missing a piece, but our deck isn't as reliable as assembling the combo as the green-black version is. So we need to lean into the fact that we're going to try and pepper our opponent's hand with a bunch of Duress-style effects. And go from there. No Wasteland. Okay, happy to see that. Force of Will. Consigned to Memory doesn't work against us. I don't know if our opponent knows that, so we'll leave that in their hand. So the way Consigned to Memory works with Dark Depths is when this has no counters on, if it doesn't have the ability on the stack, it'll put it on the stack. So you counter the ability, then goes, oh, I still have no counters. Let's check this again. Okay, let's put this ability on to sacrifice it. But maybe our opponent wants to counter Pithing Needles and stuff like that. A Thespian Stage, you say. I will play this one out, and I will fire in a Hymn to Tourach, I think. What do we get? An Undercity Sewers, and another Undercity Sewers. Okay, so we have potent information on our opponent's hand. Things are looking up. There's no point firing off a Duress here, because the one card we would want to take is Brazen Borrower, and we can't. Now, there might be a situation where we would want to take the Brazen Borrower. We take the Force of Will, so that we can protect, like using a Not of This World. Okay, we can just do everything here. That's always nice. I'll play this Lotus Petal out. Let's Duress them. So this is going to take the Force of Will. Oh, sorry, we already took the Force of Will earlier. What are we talking about? I guess we take the Consigned to Memory. Make our opponent think it works for game 3. In our opponent's upkeep, we make this to dodge Wasteland. They probably have 4 Wastelands and only 1 Borrower. So it makes more sense to do this now. Did you immediately draw a Borrower? No, they did not. But they can brainstorm into land plus Borrower. So they do have an out here. They did not find it though. So we get to continue this little merry dance. I think deck is fine as is. We're just going to go back in. What are we doing with this hand? Not very much is the answer. Let's mulligan. Okay, we have the classic here. I'll keep this. So we're going to go Urborg. We can Dark Ritual into Thoughtseize and Pithing Needle. So we chuck back the Duress. Thoughtseize. Well, that's pretty good. We're going to lose the Hexmage here. And we're going to be back into desperately looking for something off the top. Which I feel is a position this deck is going to be in relatively often. Like, we can do some explosive, powerful things for sure. We don't have all the consistency in the world, though. We also are exposed to our opponent's graveyard plan with this hand. Well, well, well. The old Thoughtseize bug, I guess you want to call it that. Ooh, they're dazing a Dark Ritual. I think we can afford to take it slightly slower. Another Thoughtseize. Okay, I was going to say I think we can take it slower. Now we don't have a choice. We can only go in slow mode. Okay, I'll play this out so we can play around daze with the Thoughtseize. Although if they daze this, do we... Okay, so I guess we get rid of the Reanimate. I'm not a big fan of leaving them double ponders, though. Then we go for Pithing Needle. And then Wasteland. So now we're looking for 6 cards in our deck, but we also have like the tutors that we can try and rattle off. So we got Profane Tutor and Plunge. Dancing Voidwalker, that is fine. Like, it's a clock. It's going to impact how much we can do plunging. I'm not going to try and manually strip these counters. It's just not a thing that happens very often. I think I had a game, I don't know if it was last week or the week before, at some point with regular green-black, where removing all the counters was actually the thing that won me the game, which is very rare. It was just the way that I could present 2 Marit Lages on consecutive turns by like winding this down over the course of many turns. This is cool. Alright, they declined to use Ponder's Shuffle. So we can expect something relevant from our opponent. A Rogue's Passage. We are very much just entirely hands off the wheel. Let's hope we get to the right destination. I'm not going to remove counters manually. Okay, so they have an Entomb. They have a Reanimate to go with it. How is this not just the best deck in Legacy? It's so strong. Okay. It's currently the second best deck on statistics, I believe, but it's still... The deck is so darn good. Okay, so we can win if we draw Thespian Stage, still. So they took Undercity Sewers, Down Through Voidwalker, Ponder, Consigned to Memory. No Force of Will. Okay. We need Thespian Stage off the top. Not a Thespian Stage. It is a spell we can cast that we also will cast. Right, him. We are just dead here though, right? Because they hit us for 10, and then next turn, this is unblockable and hits us for the remaining damage. So yeah, we just got cooked. Yeah, the double Thoughtseize was pretty strong, obviously. I imagine this matchup is not ideal because we don't have the redundancy that the green-black build has. So they're going to have more potency with every piece of disruption because it's harder for us to assemble the pieces. Alright, on to round 2. For free, fast and secure worldwide shipping on high-end singles, classic products and full sets, check out 3for1 Trading. Whether it's the legacy or pre-modern that I play on this channel, or even vintage and old school, they've got you covered. Find them through the link in the description of this video and use my code COWFREE for free worldwide shipping on your first order over $500 or euros. Now we can swing pretty hard with this one. We can Duress and then just dig a bunch. Would I rather mulligan looking for the combo though? So this is what, turn 1 we Duress, turn 2 we Plunge, turn 3 we make a Dark Depths. That's probably okay. Let's give it a whirl. Alright, Duress. This will tell our opponent that we're running some sort of combo deck because no decks run Duress unless they're a combo deck in this format. Well, it's Blue-Black Reanimator again. Like, what are we supposed to do here? I think we're just locked up dead now. Yikes. I guess I'll take the Thoughtseize. At least they don't know what they're up against. Maybe we can preserve that information. Yikes. The daze is pretty scary. Now, we can obviously just top deck Dark Depths as well. That's something that we can do. And it should be good enough. Well. If it isn't the Dark Depths that we've just top decked, I will play this out because I don't want it to be discarded. And I'm going to fire off a Plunge into Darkness to try and strip some blue cards from our opponent's hand. Maybe they draw a Borrower. They're probably unlikely to pitch a Borrower though. They're just going to pitch the Daze, aren't they? Thoughtseize. I think I'm going to fire this off. They're going to counter this because they think we're going to get the Dark Depths. So we're just using this as a hymn to Tourach. We're probably not going to need double Not of This World. If we can strip this Force of Will out of our opponent's hand, then it won't be able to impact the Not of This World. Because obviously Thoughtseizes can't hit the Dark Depths. So we're representing that we don't have a Dark Depths right now. Because if they see our hand... Oh, well. Okay, we're going to play 7 life. What do we want here? We don't really have the mana necessary for what we want. I will take the Thoughtseize, I think, here. So our opponent's going to think we've like taken the Dark Depths here. If we're only fast mana, then we can Thoughtseize alongside making our combo. Obviously, they're just going to interact with a Daze or a Force of Will if we do that, but that's fine. Really hope they don't play a Wasteland. Right, they did not play a Wasteland. Right, Pondering, here we go. They shuffle their library, that's good news for us. It means they didn't find the answer. Right, we just make this now to dodge Wasteland because we don't have any Pithing Needle protection. Alright, Jesus, take the wheel, I suppose. And they found it. So we fire this off. Our opponent will Force of Will it or Daze it. So if they Daze it, it sets them back a land, which hopefully takes them further away. But yeah, this is pretty backbreaking. Now they get another Surveil. Alright, Thoughtseize. Let's have another crack. What do we care about here? We can't really take them off of all their reanimation stuff, so we just got to hope they don't find it. Brainstorm. That's pretty good at finding an Entomb. So Entomb is basically the only way they have of putting stuff into the graveyard, outside of like weird Brainstorm, Undersea Sewers interactions. Because you can put the Surveil trigger on the stack and then Brainstorm in response, and then you can put the monster on top and bin it. But the deck has 11 cards dedicated to Reanimate package, so it's pretty easy to like just not even play to this and just play like a fair tempo game. It's not really clogging your hand up in the same way that it can if you're playing like the full sets of Animate Dead. So they probably have 1 Animate Dead and 4 Reanimates, unless they're on a more unusual build. Alright, deck. That's something for later, perhaps. A Brainstorm. Okay, we're going to hide some cards. So we could have done one thing differently this game. When we cast Plunge into Darkness, we could have just dug really deep to try and find a third Not of This World. I don't think that's correct, but it's a thing that we are allowed to have attempted. Sure, we take the Force of Will. We've seen a Scalding Tarn now, and that's the same Reanimate. What have we got on top there? Like, if you got the Entomb, you got the Entomb. Like, we know there's an Animate Dead hanging around, so there's no point taking the Reanimate there. So they left the Reanimate in their hand, knowing that if we took it, they could just draw the Animate Dead if they wanted it. I guess we played this out. It is playing into Wasteland. That's the only problem. I'm just trying to work out. If we hold this in hand, it slows us down, and we are exposing ourselves to getting comboed. Because if we don't play this out now, we definitely can't win for at least 2 turns. Do we just try and fade the Wasteland, or we play around it? I think we have to play around it, but I hate it. We draw a Dark Ritual or a Lotus Petal, we get to go. But if they have an Entomb at any point, we die. Sure, just playing the Borrower. That will kill us in a few turns. So we probably have to play this next turn because of how the damage race is going to be going. Especially since Orcish Bowmasters might be in their deck and can add in a few extra chip points. Alright, Undersea Sewers. Don't have a monster, please. It was not the monster. Excellent. Fast mana, please. Thoughtseize. This takes a turn off the clock. I don't think that's what we're doing here. I think we do play this out now so that any land we draw can be relevant. Our opponent might also be wondering if we have Spirit Guides that we can use. So they might be careful with how they're using their Wasteland. If they draw one, that is. We need a mana source. Faith is looting. Okay, that's unusual. This is something our opponent is showing us that they didn't necessarily have to. Obviously, if we draw the land and we make the guy, then they're going to be like, okay, this is going to be lights out for us. So I understand this to try and get towards something big and scary. Right, they're reanimating a Tamiyo. So they can Faith is doing next turn to flip this if they want to. Hymn to Tourach. An uncastable card. Okay, So we have one more turn to hit a land. I think we're going to draw Fell the Profane as our next draw. I'm calling it now. Feeling my bones. So our opponent probably doesn't have Wastelands if they're running red mana for Faith is Looting. So they're on a slightly different build. This is also going to flip Tamiyo. Just kind of Tamiyo. They've got Tamiyo plussing. We can get back Ponders and whatnot. Alright, now is the time, deck. Dark Ritual. Our opponent's got 3 cards in hand. We don't get to him to Tourach because we are 1 mana shy. Alright, opponent, this is what I got. We're doing it now, playing around Wasteland. This is the thing that we have. Is it good enough? They're getting back the Thoughtseize. Sure. Are they going to Thoughtseize away our Not of This World and borrow us? Feels like that's what's about to happen. And we can enter Scoop phase. There it is. Sure. Alright, we're on a slightly different build of Blue-Black Reanimator here because we've got Grixis mana, so I don't believe they're running Wastelands. I don't know if you can afford to play the 3-color Reanimator Wasteland deck. Maybe you can. I don't know. We'll see. I would like the Leylines. I think we can take out the Feed the Swarm here. We'll shave at least a couple of... I think we'll leave one in so that we can Profane Tutor just in case they surprise us. I think we're just going to run in like this. Leyline, some tutors, but no real way to our combo. Our opponent will just sculpt their way to a victory before we get to do anything. No. We have lots of lands, but we don't really go anywhere here. Okay, this is more like it. It's got some problems. I won't lie. There are some problems with this hand. I'm going to play a Lotus Petal. I'm going to play another Lotus Petal. I'm going to play a Thespian Stage. Getting the Dark Depths Wastelanded would be worse than getting the Thespian Stage Wastelanded. Because we have more things that go with the Dark Depths than we do with than the other way around. Alright, here goes the thing that we can do. If you crack that fetch land, I'm going to make this. Otherwise, I'll do it in your upkeep. I don't think our opponent's running Stifle, but we can play around it. Alright, is this Not of This World good enough? That is the question. Brainstorm. Not a surprise little Chain of Vapor. It's more of a combo card, really. I guess our opponent is a bit of a combo-y deck, but Brazen Borrower fills the role much better for them, being able to bounce stuff as well as being the beater for the tempo plan. Entomb. Is this a shuffle, or are they just going to get the Arc of Cruelty and kill us with it? This does not work, and we die. Alright. Not a great outing. Getting bodied by a Blue-Black Reanimator twice in a row, not how I wanted this league to begin. But let's go on to round 3. Okay, we get to get a bit weird with it, I think, here. We'll keep this. We Fell the Profane, Dark Ritual, Plunge plus Needle. Bog at Bog. Okay, we might be dead on turn 1. Alright, we just gained Thoughtseize. And then they're going to kill us on turn 2. Oh, they discarded their own Undersea Informer. Okay, how do we sort this one out? Well, we have a plan. Alright, let's play this. Give our opponent a bit of fear. Okay, Dark Ritual. I'm going to cast Pithing Needle, naming Undersea Informer. Take that. And now, are we plunging? Or are we Profane Tutor? I think I'm just going to suspend this Profane Tutor. I think that's the better thing to do here. Lotus Petal. So our opponent has a Reanimate in hand. That's what we've been told by their turn 1 play. A Pithing Needle. I don't think that's relevant here. If I want to cast a Plunge, I need to play the Passage. That doesn't really work for us, does it? So we cast the Passage. We plunge in our opponent's turn. So what we're going to do is we're going to plunge looking... We're going to go for the Hexmage route here. So the Profane Tutor gets us either Hexmage or a Lotus Petal, whichever one we don't find with this plunge. Our Lotus Petal is more or less irrelevant, so we can just bin off a load of it. Pay any amount of life. How much am I paying here? Probably... No, we're not paying that much. So if we pay 14, we can still Thoughtseize here. There is no Vampire Hexmage here. But there is the Lotus Petal, so we get to do the line that we wanted to, because our Profane Tutor is about to happen. So they're looking at all the cards we've exiled there. Getting a feel for the sort of nonsense that we're doing. Right, Profane Tutor. Let's go and get this Vampire Hexmage. Draw a card for turn. It's not one that matters here. Vampire Hexmage here. Play this. We should play this Pithing Needle on Goblin Charbelcher, actually. And pass. Us not going first here was actually really important, because otherwise we would have just played out this Pithing Needle and then maybe just got killed by Henderson Informer on turn 2. A Narco Meba. Sometimes you've got to do what you got to do there, opponent. I appreciate it. Alright, out comes Marit Lage. Can we draw enough mana to do anything with Rogue's Passage? No. I will attack with Marit Lage. Is it better to Duress? I think the Duress is better because it gets us more information. So let's have a look. Memories, Journey, Cabal Ritual, Dark Ritual. I think we take the Dark Ritual here. Just the thing that gives them the most mana to get up to the Balustrade Spy, which is the way they're going to win this game. You got another Lotus Petal. Play out another Narcomoeba. Alright, he's going to reanimate the Narcomoeba, sure. I guess we could have predicted that line, but I think if our opponent has the ability to win the game, that's something I'm more worried about. Alright, we'll attack. Because if we take the reanimate there, they top deck Balustrade Spy, they win the game because they had the Cabal Ritual and the Dark Ritual. So we're definitely right to take what we did. Alright, let's just strip some more cards. It's going to be very hard for them to get a critical mass of mana. Okay, we didn't hit the Cabal Ritual. Alright, we managed to get game 1 versus Oops. I'll take it. I would like to play 4 copies of Leyline in the Void. I don't believe we need Not of This World, so that's a pretty easy one. Damping Sphere, you say. You probably have some useful text. Can't cast spells that you pay life for. That's not really relevant here, is it? Okay. Where is the... Not the Plunge, the Feed the Swarm. That can come out here. I like the Pithing Needle naming Goblin Charbelcher. That seems kind of important. Maybe it's just a Knight's Whisper that goes. Okay, we've got something resembling a plan here. Leyline stops the Graveyard plan. Pithing Needle stops the Belcher plan. And then we try and win the game at some point. Possibly just attacking with a 2-1. This hand will just lose on turn 1. So let's not keep this one. Also, it's just a bad hand for what we're trying to do anyway. There is a Leyline and a bunch of hand disruption. I will keep this. It means we don't die on turn 1 and we can really soften our opponent's hand in a big way here. I think we bin off the Duress with the intention of him plus Thoughtseizing on turn 1. Hey, you play your tap land, opponent. Knight's Whisper. Their land's tapped for black anyway, so I don't think it matters that we play the Urborg, but it helps us potentially win the game. Alright, Dark Ritual. So there's always an argument as to whether you're supposed to him or Thoughtseize first. But we could... we're going to Thoughtseize first. Just get the best card and then soften up the rest. Okay, so I guess none of these cards are that exciting, actually. We can take the land. I think it's the Lion's Eye Diamond, actually. And then we'll shred some more cards. They lost Fell the Profane and Balustrade Spy. Cool. Dread Return with no graveyards. Pact of Negation with no ability to pay. We're in a reasonable spot and we get to draw some cards here. Alright, rather than drawing cards, I'm going to attack my opponent for 2 every turn. I will draw cards here rather than him, our opponent. Thespian's Stage, you say? Okay. It's more mana. It's certainly not the half the combo we were looking for. I think it would be very hard for our opponent to get enough mana to kill us right now. The Lion's Eye Diamond in their deck shows us that they are running Charbelcher as well, because that gives you a handy 1 card that gives you all the mana to activate your Charbelcher. I'll play this one out. I will him our opponent, and then I will suspend this Profane Tutor. 2 Pacts of Negation. Understood. Suspend this. Attack for 2. So we get to find our Dark Depths in a couple of turns, or we can find some more hand disruption if we think we're just going to be okay with the Hexmage. Alright. Pithing Needle is a nice find. Goblin Charbelcher, get out of here. So we're going to get our Profane Tutor. We can either just go for we kill our opponent right there and then, or we can try and disrupt their hand. I think we should just try and kill our opponent. Alright, they're scooping it up and we've put a match win on the board. Okay, on to round 4. Sure, I'll keep this. I think I'm going to Profane Tutor here. Now, there is an argument to Plunge instead, and then we can try and make a Dark Depths on turn 2. But we don't know how much life we can pay in this matchup, so I'd rather keep that under wraps a little bit. A Mox Opal. Is this one of those matchups where they play a Chalice on 1, and then we play the Hexmage, strip the counters off, and then they have a horrible time? Or is this one of the matchups where they just put a... Oh, what's this? Refurbished Familiar. Huh. Cool, I guess. Long goodbye. Our opponent's clicking over there. Okay. I guess we're just going to try and kill our opponent right now. I don't believe there are wastelands in our opponent's deck, so I'm not going to crack this now. I'm going to save it to our opponent's end step. I'm enjoying the length of this pause our opponent is taking. It bodes well for us. Spire of Industry. So Ether Spellbomb is something that's probably in our opponent's deck, along with possibly some sort of Karn action. They probably also have a bunch of like flyers, whether it's going to be made from Psy or Thought Monitor. They might be able to block for a turn. Refurbished Familiar. An interesting call here. I think I'll just get rid of the Plunge. So this flies. This also flies. So now we get rid of the Swamp, I think. Okay, how do we get through these guys? What works here? Nothing gets us through. These are both artifacts and black creatures, so that's not going to work for us. I think we just get a Not of This World. The problem is our opponent just gets to block and then replay one and take cards out of our hand every turn. How are we supposed to win this now? We should have got a Pithing Needle and named Mire. That's what we should have done. Yeah, I just punted this one, I think. Alright, draw step. You are no good. I guess we can force our opponent's mana here. But yeah, if we just got the Pithing Needle there, we play the Pithing Needle, we shut the Mire down, and then they can't just keep doing this loop. It was just really loose. The line I immediately saw was a fraction of a second after I clicked the wrong thing. Cool. Urza's Saga, so this will get them towards the Ether Spellbomb as well. So it's going to keep redeploying the Familiar. And we're stocking up here. So they got 1 artifact, 2 artifact, 3 artifact. So it's only cost 1 anyway. Oh, 1 mana, 2/1 fly that makes us discard a card. That's pretty good. Yep. Imagine if we'd have got Pithing Needle here. Right, so we get rid of our Urborg, I think, here. Rogue's Passage, you say. Let's get our Vampire Hexmage down. I don't believe we're attacking anymore. This is another way that we can get through what our opponent's putting down. Our opponent might be a Painter deck as well, which can just kill us that way. I'd rather keep this card in hand, so we can at least try and fend off this Ether Spellbomb in a couple of turns. Yeah, if we got Pithing Needle, we could have stripped both of their guys by now, and then the next turn would be lethal attack. We can also strip the counters from the Urza's Saga if we want to do that, which is a choice. I don't think that's what we're doing. They might have a Pithing Needle and name Rogue's Passage. That would be annoying for us. I Thoughtseize. Let me see what you're working with there, opponent. A Disruptor Flute. Sure. They're going to name Rogue's Passage. I believe that's what they should name here. Vampire Hexmage. That's not the one I would have named there. Oh, Tezzeret. Cool. What does Scorpec Lord do these days? Other artifact creatures you control get +1/+0 and have Menace. Okay. So, if they go and get the Ether Spellbomb, they just get to Force of Will our counterspell here. If they play the Tezzeret, this is horrible. I think we have to take the Tezzeret and hope they don't draw a blue card. I think our opponent is very, very far ahead. I think if we'd have done the Pithing Needle play, we would be winning. We would have won that turn. So that's on me, I'm afraid. Sometimes when you record 10 rounds of Legacy in a day, you get a little bit of the old streamer brain. Okay, so what are they going to find here? It is the Ether Spellbomb, so we've correctly identified this line. Let's hope our opponent plays something. Okay, let's see. Did you draw your blue card? If they do the blue card, we'll scoop it up. But I don't think we can beat Tezzeret there. I don't think we can beat this, to be honest. But oh yes, they can just rebuy every turn, can't they? Yes. The Pithing Needle on Mire was a massive, massive mess up for us there. Yikes. Okay, so this is probably a Karn Sylex sort of matchup. Emery's pretty scary. Is it better to hit Emery with Dismembers, which can also take out other blockers? I think so. Feed the Swarm. I don't think we're trying to hit enchantments. So that can go. They're going to have Ottawire and stuff as well, so we do need these Not of This World. Where are the cuts? Is it like Duresses? I think it's Duresses and we're trying to answer the stuff on the board a bit more. I like the Hymn to Tourach because it has the ability to take multiple things from our opponents and can hit things like Ottawire, where our discard spells target can't. I don't think we want Damping Sphere because once they sort of play out a bunch of zeros on turn 1 or 2, that's kind of it. It's not like they're a Karn Forge deck. Alright, we just have the classic. Alright, deck, bail me out of my mistake, please. Last for Boots, Orcish Bowmasters, either Spellbomb. I would like to take... I think it's the Force. And we're just going to shove through the Dark Depths on turn 2 with double Not of This World backup. So we should be able to beat the Ether Spellbomb. Playing out the Spellbomb first, sure. So this forces our opponent to keep up a mana, and then we're going to hopefully stop that from mattering. And play out the Lava Sphere Boots here as well, just to boost their artifact count. Yes. This makes me think the last card my opponent has, or the last 2 cards they have that we don't know about, aren't useful. This should worry our opponent, playing into the face-up Ether Spellbomb. Although we didn't get Pithing Needle before, so maybe they think we're a bit of a clown. Alright, we tied it up. So we could have put this round away by now, but we have to play another game now. Okay, let's submit. What does this hand do? Turn 1, Karn Sylex. Turn 2, Prophet. Karn Sylex is pretty horrible for them to play against. Is it good enough for us to keep this clunky, horrible looking hand? Maybe. Do the people at home want to see this? I think they do. We're going to keep this. So we can play a Karn Sylex, and then we can just start hitting our opponent's hands. If they don't want to commit to the board, they're going to lose the cards in their hand, and it's kind of like down if you do, down if you don't at that point. And we can just luck our way into a Dark Depths or a Tutor at some point. Okay, do I want to... I think I want to Dark Ritual here. And I think I want to play the second Dark Ritual now that we have another mana source. This means we can either Hymn plus Sylex. I think Hymn plus Sylex is pretty good, actually. Alright, there was a temptation of Thoughtseize to make sure that this would definitely resolve. But I think using our mana efficient that turn is pretty good. So now our opponent can't really commit to the board without the Sylex killing everything. And they need to commit to the board to be able to cast some spells. At the very least, we can just pop and get these off. Destroy non-land permanents. Okay, so this is going to have to kill the Urza Saga in a bit. Not the Urza Saga, the Urza Saga tokens. Do they have a Pithing Needle, I guess, is the question we need to ask ourselves. I like a Thoughtseize here. Long goodbye. Goodbye to you. So what we do is we wait till they make their constructs, and then we blow this up. So we won't get the thing that comes out of the Saga, I don't think. Because if they get a Pithing Needle, we don't get to do the Saga, and that is a problem. So I think we have to play around the potential Pithing Needle here. They're going to make a guy and equip it. Sure, we can take one hit. It's costing their Lava Sphere Boots. Sorry, their Lotus Petal. But I guess they're expecting this to go under the Sylex at some point anyway. So just forcing damages. This is a weird game. Because if we play around the Pithing Needle, then we're kind of dead to the Ether Spellbomb that comes down in a bit. We can pay some life here. And play this guy out. I like to keep this held up for 1. So we can blow all these things up. Alright, you're going to make a construct. Floating mana, I don't like that very much. The Pithing Needle was so bad for us. But this is just taking out the construct. I think we forced them to get the Pithing Needle so they don't get the Ether Spellbomb at this point. I was hoping they'd make a construct, and then I'd happily take out 2 constructs and a Lava Sphere Boots. But if we force them to get the Pithing Needle, that means that we have... Okay, just got an Expedition map to get another Saga, presumably. Unless they've got something spooky that they can reach for. Just another Saga. I guess we could have kept in our Feed the Swarm just to take out Urza Saga, but that's not really the sort of game plan that we're trying to accomplish. If they attack, we have First Strike. So at present, we're winning that fight. I'm sure they can muster up some artifact. Dark Depths, please. Not a Dark Depths. A Night's Whisper. Alright, let's have a little looky. I don't really want to play out my Lotus Petal. I guess we're passing. At least we have protection for the Ether Spellbomb now. So we're going to play around the Pithing Needle. I have the impression our opponent has an Emery because of the way they were planning to tap last turn for something. So they can attack here. If we block, then they make another guy. I'm okay to take 4 here. I could have swung for more if they wanted to. If they play an Emery, we can blow everything up. Ideally, I would like to get my indestructible 2020 in play first. Profane Tutor. Alright, I will suspend this. That's 2 turns. Is it worth playing out as Urborg just so we can crack this for 2? I don't think so. Yep, so we're going to make a guy here. You can untap and make another guy, and then we can blow the world up with the old Karn Sylex. Oh, activate only as a sorcery. Oh no, what am I doing? What am I doing, chat? Oh dear. Why? This card is terrible. Maybe our opponent's missed it as well. Activate only as a sorcery. Why is it like that? Oh, this card is bad. I think we're losing this game anyway because we can't find out Dark Depths, but still that is a bit of a miss on my part there. I guess we're running this because it's one of the only things that can blow up enchantments that we have access to. But yeah, that card is no pernicious deed. It's very weird to make a card that is much worse than a version of a card that we had like 20 years ago. I guess he's been playing pre-modern and against pernicious deeds. Okay, so we're in some trouble. They have a lethal attack here. Just a Mox Opal. We have to chump block now. We should have just blown this up in our turn. Tear Asunder. Yeah, okay, I'm done with that one. Okay, that round is on me. I made 2 punts in this match. And I think in the game 1, not getting the Pithing Needle 100% cost us. I don't know if cracking the Sylex earlier makes much of a difference because we're, you know, yeah, I don't know if we're getting that. We have a Profane Tutor suspended, I suppose, so maybe we still get there if we crack this. But yeah, that was my bad. Sorry, everyone. Game 5, we're trying to get a second win on the board. Whilst I may not play Pauper, I know a lot of you lovely people out there do. So I thought I'd let you know about a great charity Pauper tournament happening in upstate New York on the 21st of June. The tournament is in support of the Trevor Project and Trans Lifeline, so sign up to help a worthy cause and have fun doing it. It's a troubling time for our trans comrades out there, so show them that you've got their back. Click the link in the description of this video for more details. Do I think we can dig? We have a lot of disruption here. I think I'm willing to try digging away. We can obviously hit tutors as well. So we've kind of got like 8 things we're drawing to. I think I'm going to fire off a... I think it should be a Thoughtseize first, shouldn't it? We're going to brainstorm and protect our hand. Oh no, this is going to be a Veil's Summer. Alright, so it's probably Omnitel. That's the only card, the only deck really that runs basic forest and has Veil's Summer in the main deck that I can think of. Alright, Lauren revealed, still on track for Omnitel. So we've got a lot of Duresses. Let's Duress our opponent and see if we want to Dark Ritual, Night's Whisper, plus Duress. A Brainstorm. Okay. Okay. There's a Show and Tell. I will take the Show and Tell, I guess. And I will Dark Ritual. I will Duress. I will take the Omniscience. And then I will Night's Whisper myself. Okay. Sorry, you can only Night's Whisper yourself. It's not... Sign in Blood is the one that you can target opponents with as well. Ancient Tomb. I guess you play this tapped. And then we will plunge into darkness, paying a bunch of life looking for our Dark Depths. I don't believe our opponent's going to impact our life total in any meaningful fashion, so we can pay a lot. That's a Ponder. Our opponent's on low resources. If they want to pitch a Force of Will to this, if they want to pitch a blue card to Force of Will this, I don't actually mind that much because it means they're going to have fewer resources to go off with. Pay a bunch of life. Okay, we pay 17 life and go to 1. We found a Dark Depths. Does our opponent have a way of dealing 1 damage to us? Because Release the Answer is a card they have, but they can't cast it because they have no red mana in their deck. Okay, I will play out this Dark Depths. I'll play out this Vampire Hexmage. And am I playing out a Pithing Needle? I think I am. I'm trying to work out what we name here. Probably Prismatic Vista. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I don't think they have... Oh no, it's Otawara, isn't it? Oh, I've got to remember how to spell Otawara. Bear with me. Otawara Soaring City. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So they get Sublime Epiphany. And then we die to that. So making sure they have the land here. So there's a tropical island. And the Cunning Wish gets Sublime Epiphany, which can bounce our 2020. Wipe away. Okay, that's worse, I guess. Sure. I stock up. So we're beaten down with a 2-1 now. I like all the hand disruption we have in this matchup. Our opponent specifically has to find Show and Tell. Although if the game goes too long and we're just disrupting but not actually closing the game, they end up with enough mana that sometimes they can even just cast an Omniscience. And that becomes a problem. Like they start just casting Lorien Revealed and a bunch of stock ups and they end up with just all the mana in the world. Alright, I'm not going to play into this wipe away. We're going to tax 3 mana from our opponent every single turn though, which is nice. Alright, we have a Thespian stage. We can't Night's Whisper because we spent all our life looking for the Dark Depths. But let's try and pressure this Ancient Tomb. If we can make the Ancient Tomb more annoying for our opponent to tap, then it's going to take more of our opponent's mana to hold up this wipe away as a percentage. Right, our opponent's brainstorming in our end step. At some point they will find it. Is it in the next 6 turns is the question. So you shuffle all those cards you don't want back in. Okay. Auroral Procession. Well, this strikes me as a very bad thing that's about to happen. If they're getting back... That was the new card, by the way, if you're unfamiliar with it. It's just regrowth, but instant speed. They're Show and Telling in an Omniscience. That strikes me as bad news for us. I stock up. So we're not deterministically dead, but it's very likely because stock up can find more stock ups and they just keep going and eventually they'll find an Emrakul. Another Omniscience, they got a backup. A Cunning Wish. So this wins them the game. They either get Emrakul or they go and get Firemind's Foresight and set up a Release the Ants win that way. There's a bunch of ways they can win. Okay, what looks good here? Damping Sphere has text. I will take something that has text. That's about all we have going for us here. I don't really want to feed the Swarm the Omniscience. If they get an Omniscience in play, we're just losing, right? We can just agree to that and just move on with our life. I don't think I want Rite of Consumption. It can speed us up, but it's a sorcery. Is it better than Pithing Needle, though? Probably. Alright, let's try some Rite of Consumptions. And, well, we could board in, like, Leyline just to deal with the Auroral Procession. Maybe that's actually not the worst. Maybe that ends up being better than the Rite of Consumption. Probably not better than Damping Sphere, though. So we'll just have a few Leylines in there. I don't think the Leylines are good. Let me reiterate that. They are not good here. But if we discard a bunch of our opponent's cards and then they just regrow them, that is annoying. And it's going to do more than the other cards we have that are completely blank. So we have the harder part of the combo to find. I will keep this one. We've got a lot of hits. That's it, opponent. You mulligan. You mulligan and get Thoughtseized and Duress right in your heart. I think I'm just going to straight up Thoughtseize on one. Auroral Procession, Brainstorm, stock up. Goodbye, Brainstorm. Right, we're not going to die quickly in this game, at least. There is the Vista. Would like to find a useful land. Okay. I think I will cast a Dark Ritual. I will Duress my opponent. Force of Will, stock up. So they can start stocking up next turn. Not in love with that one. Okay, I'll take the stock up here, and then I'm going to hit my opponent instead here. What do we get? The Auroral Procession and the Force of Will. So our opponent only has lands in hand, is what you're telling me. Alright, that seems like a situation that's good for us. And then next turn we can suspend this Profane Tutor. And hopefully we draw a land or a Hexmage or something so we know exactly what we need to get to make sure that we can 2020. If we draw a land now, that'd be nice. We did not draw a land right now. Okay, let's suspend this. There is a risk that by the time this goes off, we don't actually have like a land to know that the Hexmage is going to work. But we'll see. Interesting they didn't get a Hedge Maze here. Okay, they drew an Aurora Procession and now they're getting back the stock up. Alright, so they're going to stock up this turn and we're going to Duress them. And hopefully that'll be good. It's quite scary when your opponent taps Ancient Tomb Island, just in general. Even though you know they can't go off this turn, there's just a bit in your back of your brain that says, oh no, we're getting show and telled. We tick down on the Profane. Alright, Castle Locthwain is good. Let's Duress our opponent. That's what you call all rolled up right there. We have to take the show and tell here. We could get... No, but let's just take the show and tell and stop messing around. I was thinking we could take the Cunning Wish. Or we could take the Omniscience. It's like, no, let's not do that. So next turn, we get 2020. Our opponent can Cunning Wish for the wipe away is the issue that we have right now. Opponent's got 2 cards in hand. I could just him to Tourach my opponent. Do I think him is better than the other bits? Because they already have an answer here. I think I am just going to him. As weird as that is. Because we're going to need to find an answer to beat what our opponent's got anyway. Because they have the Cunning Wish. So they can't Cunning Wish for anything here. Because it's just going to get discarded anyway. And then we go back to looking for the other half. Now, like I said, we have the harder half to find in the Dark Depths already. So it's statistically easier. If we had like the other half and we were trying to dig for our Dark Depths, then I think I'd be more inclined just to get the Dark Depths with the Profane. Oh, would you look at that? Boom. I feel very smart for the last turn. Certainly makes up for the last round where I did not feel very smart. Axeon is a sorcery. What are they doing over there? Alright, let's make it 2020. I don't like the way our opponent hasn't scooped though. Okay, that's relatively welcome in case this doesn't work. Alright, it did work. Okay, one more game. One more game. Maybe I like these ley lines even more. Now we've seen how heavily on the discard front we are. And how they try and just get back their best thing. I'm going to go up to 4 ley lines. We'll try it out. I don't think this is good enough. We have a hymn, but I just think we can have something a bit better. This goes... Yeah. Okay, we keep this. So we put back the Hexmage here. We don't have black anyway. Done. Put Leyline in. So there's no Aurora Procession. We get to turn 1 Thoughtseize. Turn 2 Duress. So they're holding up a Brainstorm. Oh, a Spell Piss. That's better than Veil of Summer. If they're holding up a green source, then that turn becomes a lot worse for us. Please don't kill me. Ancient Tomb. Okay. The fear of them tapping the Ancient Tomb and the island was not so bad. It was just a stock up. Okay. Obviously, them stocking up is very good. Profane Tutor. I don't think we get to do anything other than Duress here because we are dead. Most likely if we just let our opponent untap. Okay, show and tell, get out of here. So they have the kill. But they've got a lot of tools here. So they're going to be doing some brainstorming. Leyline the Void. I'm just going to draw 2 cards here. I'd like to make land drops more than I'd like to get the Profane Tutor down. And the Spell Piercing, our card draw spell. Okay. And that's the game because we know we have all these cards over there. So let's just not waste our time. Okay. That was the match. So we finished with a 1-4, which is not a good record. But we split quite a few games and we did punt one of the games that should have just been a 2-0. So I'm going to give the deck a nice 2-0. Sorry, a nice 2-3. But we didn't quite make that ourselves. So let's talk about this list. Obviously, it's not as reliable as doing its thing as the Greenback Turbo Depths is. We have a lot more hand disruptions. So if you're in a meta, a bit like the meta we're in now with a lot of combo, then sure, you can disrupt your opponent's hand a fair bit. And that can be useful. The reliability of getting our combo together isn't the best. And all these like paying life to do things that other decks do without paying life can be really awkward when there's so much tempo in the meta right now. It feels like tempo decks are going to have a bit of a field day into a deck that looks like this. I think when I like to play a Monoblack Depths deck, I like to have more of like a secondary plan. I've also played builds with the One Ring, which just felt really good because that card's busted. So you may as, like, if you're going to put Dark Ritual in your deck, you may as well get some of that going. There's also some builds with like Urza's Saga, which can then go and get your Expedition map and sort of go that way instead of going through like Profane Tutor. Although Profane Tutor was fine here. Like, it does telegraph when you're going off a little bit. The Plunge was fine as well for what it is. I don't necessarily think this is the best build of Monoblack Depths you can play. We've got quite a few colourless lands, and the amount of time that we spend just like hoping our opponent doesn't have it or hoping to draw the thing off the top is a little bit too much for my liking. I think that the odds are slightly stacked against us compared to something like a green-black Depths where you've got 8 tutors instead of like 4, and that makes a big difference. But it's pretty fun. I wouldn't mind playing another mutated cultist build at some point. Just have it like max out on ways of making your Dark Depths do its thing. Would be quite interesting. But yeah, this deck's a nice fun one. I hate the Karn Sylex a great deal. Why does it say activate only as a sorcery? Very frustrating there. Alright, thank you so much for watching and laughing at me. Please remember to like and subscribe, and goodbye. If you'd like to support me in the channel, please check out my Patreon. It has a free guide to budget Turbo Depths as well as 3 tiers of support. A low cost one that enters you into my monthly raffle for a free donation deck on the channel, a mid-tier subscription that gives you access to my detailed Turbo Depths guide that is updated every month as well as regular articles, and lastly the higher tier gives you all of the above as well as a monthly donation deck for my channel. If you're interested in supporting the channel this way, please check out the link in the description.